And now it's time to tackle episode 54 of the Emergency Storage Shed Cleanout series. It's the weekend, so this video is for the previous week. I don't want to get behind. We have to keep one episode per week. In my defense, we did have a really mixed up week this week. We had some big storms through the area. In fact, all of Victoria had some storms, and it took the power out for a lot of places, sometimes for multiple days. We had almost 24 hours with no power and no communications and everything, but that's my excuse. Let's go and have a look in the shed, get something out, satisfying this week's, last week's obligation, and we'll do another one shortly for this coming week to keep us on track. Okay, it's getting late in the day, but we've still got time to film in here because remember we have no lights in this shed. So we're making some pretty good headway. Look at all this floor space. We could hold a dance in here. We're tackling stuff along the middle, and I think the last episode we got the barrel off the top there. I figure I might just keep going along the top in the middle for now. So we're going to look at that white half tub there in front of us that looks like a bucket of paint. I'm not sure. The yellow thing is I think it's a Coroma stool. They were like a 1960s retro plastic stool. They used them for like you often see them with the old arcade table games like Space Invaders, that sort of stuff. The other rusty tin looks like it's possibly some sort of tin of paint, so that sort of stuff won't take long to deal with. The white plastic tub, I don't know what's in that. That silhouette there looks like it could be the base of a sewing machine drawer. I'm not sure. Let's see if we can get through some of that this time, and we'll open up more of the center of this room. Okay, this was heavy and it took a bit to get off the shelf there, so tweaked my shoulder, but I think I'll be okay. Looks like hardware, nuts and bolts. Shouldn't take long to process. I'll go and get those cans of paint and we'll have a look at those too. Okay, these were heavy too. Who was responsible for putting heavy things up on the top shelves? We'll deal with this first. If we can get through it quick enough, we'll go and get some more. Now, it doesn't look very exciting, but on the plus side, we should be able to get through it quickly. I think I'm going to sell a lot of this straight through the shop as it is. Now, this is an interesting thing. I purchased this many years ago. It's some type of abrasive rubber that I used in a drill to take gaskets off, like head gaskets and things off engines where the gaskets have been baked on. It's quite abrasive, and it was very handy for the job. It's pretty much worn out. I don't know what it was called, but and I don't even know if you can still buy it. But unfortunately, I don't think there's much value in that because it's pretty well all gone. I may keep the large washers and the bolt because I can use that to put other, maybe sanding discs or something in the drill. But yeah, I don't see any value in that. We have some old chain, and old chain does sell very well through the shop. I think people like to hang it up in their ferneries and around their garden, mainly for decorative purposes. This one's still strong enough that you could actually chain up a gate or even chain your trailer to a pole or something so no one can steal it. But I often get $5 for a length of chain. Because it's rusty, because it has that farm look, people buy it. So there you go, there's money in rust. It's even had a little loop joined here with an old bolt. So nice, rustic, rural looking piece of chain. We'll get $5 for that. Now this tub is just mainly bolts of assorted sizes. Some galvanized, as you can see, some large coach bolts. Someone has made it looks like half a ratchet spanner, and that part's seized up well and truly, and they've welded a handle on it and looks like the weld's broken. I'm just going to put that straight in the scrap. But the rest of these bolts, there's a little tube spark plug socket, very thin one. I think that was just a cheapie. They can go in the scrap. But all these longer bolts I will sell. Might just go $5 for it. It's not worth putting these in a jar. I think I'll just sell this as a complete tub full for $5. I would say it probably weighs a couple of kilos, and this sort of quantity of steel we would only get about $1 for scrap, so $5 we're doing a lot better. And this is just actually longer bolts. So again, some galvanized coach bolts, some not galvanized, So I think I've got a few other longer bolts in a tin here. I'll add them to this and we'll sell that probably again just $5, maybe 10. Looks like the plastic containers about had it. It was probably half of a drenched drum or a water container. But I'll top this up a little bit and we'll get $5 for this as well. Here we go. Here's a bucket of the larger bolts. I think these were out of some sort of large bed frame. They're quite old. So I'm going to add all these to here. I reckon we'll probably get enough in quantity in here now to get $10 for this lot. So I'll add all the longer ones. So this wasn't out of the emergency storage shed, but it is a bucket out of my shed, so that's got to be good. So all the longer ones, and maybe a handful of the nuts. They're nice old square nuts, which I do sell square nuts separately. You know, I might even box them up because people do buy the old square nuts. Yeah, we'll just leave the bolts separate. The shorter coach bolts we might add to that box there, and if we get a little bit more weight in that, I think I'll make that 10 as well. There are a lot of good bolts in there, and you only have to go off to your hardware store and try and buy one large galvanized bolt, and you're probably going to pay a few dollars for it just for one. So I think we'll up that to 10. We'll up that to 10. I'll empty this bucket, which will be handy for scrap, and it's something else out of my shed as a bonus. Now this one is paint. It's fence paint. It's Walpamure fence finish exterior, and it's a pine green, and I reckon I think it's been opened. Yeah, it has been opened. It's got paint down the sides, but it feels about 3/4 full, and it feels like it's still plenty good enough to use. I reckon I kept this out of someone's shed because a few years back when I still had my old yard behind the shop, I was making things out of pellets, and I probably thought this would be handy to paint them. Obviously got buried in my shed and never did it. 10 litres. I reckon there's got to be 7 or 8 litres in there. I did quickly check what this stuff was worth before, and I think you can buy a new pail of it still. It's fairly current for about $50 or $60. So I'm just going to put $10 on this. I'm sure someone will buy it. We'll just clean the lid off a bit. $10 on the paint. That's great. And this one is in a very rusty tin. I think this is a tyre black. Yeah, it says tyre and chassis black. So 5 litres, but clearly the tin looks okay on the bottom. I don't think it's in danger of leaking. I think it's been sitting in something else that's left a bit of residue around the base. It's clearly quite rusty on top, but it feels very liquid as well. I reckon, oh geez, I don't know. Let's take the top off and have a look. Okay, let's not. I'm just going to put that in the shop for $5. Someone can take a punt. It saves me mucking around with it. I'm assuming it's going to be good. It feels like it's going to be good, and I don't have a use for it. So $5, I don't even have to clean it up so much. Good. I reckon we can get something else out of the shed. Okay, what shall we grab next? The stool's kind of hanging in on that shelf, so maybe while that stays there, we'll leave it there. I'm pretty keen to have a look in this box, actually. I reckon there might be some pretty cool stuff in there. I don't know what's in this bucket. It doesn't have a lid on it, so I'm not sure. It won't be a liquid. It'll be maybe more bolts, hardware. No idea. It might be some scrap. I don't know what's in that bucket. That's a normal household bucket, and again, that's probably going to, hopefully it's got some good scrap metal, maybe some brass or copper. I don't know. Let's get that tub down though, and we'll have a look in that to finish this video off. Hello, Coco. You haven't said hello to everyone for a while. Hey? Hi, guys. I'm really going to have to talk to the people that pack my sheds. That was heavy as well. But it's got a lid on it. I'm curious. Oh, yeah. I was kind of right, but there's some other stuff too. Let's have a look. Okay, yes, they are sewing machine drawers. But we also have some tools. We have a drill brace. It's possibly a Stanley. It's a ratchet one. A little bit surface rusty. They're extremely common, these things, and they generally don't get very much when I'm selling them. This one, though, is in pretty good condition. Timber handle there, and it would actually clean up quite well. Most of that surface rust would disappear. Or it looks like one of the collets in the chuck is broken. Yeah, a little bit's broken off the end of it and one's bent. Alright, it's probably only a decorative item. I think I'll just go $5 on that. I'd normally put 10, but it's clearly got some issues. That's alright, don't have to clean it up. The other one's a set of Stilsons. Now, they look like they're reasonable quality. They're an older set. Drop forged. There should be a brand on them. USA made. I can't read the brand. I'll clean them up. Just with a wire brush so we can read the brand. Trimo. Is that a brand? Not immediately recognisable. Trimont Manufacturing Company, Roxbury, Massachusetts, USA. So Trimont. Okay, they look pretty good. The teeth actually look quite good. Hasn't been abused. It's a little bit rounded on the collar, so yeah, maybe it has been abused a bit. But it's still quite usable, and they'd be a pretty good quality set, I would imagine. I'm not going to go to too much trouble. I might just brush the loose rust off it and a bit of the dirt off it. But given there's a fair bit of wear to the adjusting collar, I'm probably only going to put $10 on it. They'll sell quickly at that though. Alright, so we have sewing machine drawers. They're not Singer ones, I don't think. They're different to the normal one. The handle's rusted solid on it. Still kind of moves. Don't want to break it. What's this one like? Yeah, at least that one moves. So I don't think they're Singer ones. That handle's been repositioned actually. And these sell okay, and I have seen really cute little chests of drawers made out of these. Now we've got 4 of them. I think I'm just going to brush the cobwebs off them and sell them totally as they are. They're not in bad condition, they're not split, they're not coming apart. Only really the handles are a bit rusty and one of them's seized. I'd usually get $5 each for these, so I'm going to clean them up, just brush them off and ask $20 for the drawers. And in the bottom of this tub, well, what have we got? We've got some Baker's soldering fluid, which is zinc chloride. It's basically a flux. There's 2 of those. I do have a bottle of this here somewhere, and it is quite handy when you're doing soldering. Not so much electronic soldering, but more with a larger soldering iron doing plumbing type soldering jobs. They both feel less than half, so I think I'll consolidate. I'll pour one into the other, and I'll leave it here because I will be using some more of that. My other one's near empty. Here we have an aluminium baking dish with some very early china fragments. Now, I've probably saved these. They may have even come from the backyard at the old shop. But anytime I've been out digging for old bottles, I like to save bits of, that's a different pattern. I like to save bits of the old china. These would be Victorian china. A lot of the bottle tips that I dig, or rubbish tips, date to around 1900 to 1920. And the fragments of plates you find in them are usually quite a lot earlier, because remember, they didn't throw the plate out until it actually got broken, until it had an accident. So quite often the plate could have been much, much older than what the date of the tip was. Whereas bottles were, you know, a consumable, and when they were empty you threw them out. So once you establish the age of a tip, you can usually date most of the bottles. But the china is quite often much older. So this would all be Victorian china. And why I've saved it, I used to put it all in a box at the shop when I was doing a lot of digging for bottles. Clean it up a little bit, just soak it in water overnight, give it a bit of a wipe over. I didn't worry too much. And I'd sell it to people that like to do mosaics. So, you know, I would get $10 for a decent tub full of broken china. And the people that do mosaics absolutely love it, because there's some beautiful patterns, especially back in Victorian times. Really nice, intricate designs, different colours, usually an underglaze transfer, so it doesn't wash off at all. So I do have a tub of broken china at the shop. When we have a breakage, we do save it, particularly if it's an old china, and I will sometimes even just give it to people that do mosaics. So that's where this will go. We might sell it if we get enough of it, and if it's nice enough pieces, but more likely I'll probably just give it to someone. And the baking dish itself is aluminium. They can just go in with our alley scrap. The last thing in this tub are some legs. They look like a fairly solid oak. They're quite weathered, and they've got a good chunky cast alloy, probably a die-cast zinc caster. There's some patent dates on it, 1946. So yeah, probably 1950s piece of furniture. I probably kept them because I might have thought they'd make good legs for a coffee table or something like that. There are 4 of them. The casters are in reasonable condition. Will I use them? Probably not. It'll be a project that I'd like to do, but I just can't keep everything for projects. So I think I'll take these to the shop and I'll just clean up a little bit. And I think I'll just put $10 on the set, and someone else can grab them for a future project that they may or may not ever get to. That empties our tub. Let's clean everything up here, and I think we've gone long enough. I'll get the notepad out and we'll do a tally up of what value we've got. And here we go, all processed, all cleaned up as much as I'm going to do anyway, and we can go through and check our values. So I added some extra bolts to these tubs as suggested. I think we'll have no troubles getting $10 each there. $5 is that, as I mentioned. The drawers cleaned up quite well. I just brushed them off with a broom and a broom head, and I wiped them over just with a rag and some methylated spirits. It is a shellac finish, and I have mentioned before that it's a good way just to neaten up an old finish. I didn't even worry about the rusty handles. So $5 each on those drawers. We should get our 20. The drum of paint here cleaned up as new actually. Once I washed the lid down, it looks perfect. $10 will be super cheap for that. The legs, as I mentioned, $20 for the set of legs, and all the other stuff here. The Stilsons cleaned up quite well. In fact, I've upped the price on those because looking again at this collar, I don't think it's as worn as I think. I expect that they just allow a fair bit of movement in those. And as you can see there with the broken china, I did wash it up and I had a bit of fun playing jigsaw. Some of the bits actually did match up. And that's a bit of fun if you dig up the remains of a plate all in one household tip. Really nice old patterns. As I said, they are Victorian. I wrote down $5 for that. I'll put it in a little basket at the shop or a little box and call it Victorian Mosaic China. And we'll see how we go. But it's something a lot of bottle collectors don't think of. And I used to sell it. I remember now I used to sell it at $10 a kilo. And it did sell pretty much quicker than I could bring it home and wash it up. So yeah, not bad. And interestingly, it's not saving things from going to landfill. It's bringing things back from landfill where they've been for over 100 years. So how cool is that? Our aluminium tub or baking dish, a couple of bits of scrap. So there we go. That's everything we went through. Let's bring out the notepad. Look at that. We've made $100 again. So as I've mentioned with the prices, I did up the Stilsons. I said 10 initially. I think I'll get 20 for those. $100, and I've got nearly a full bottle of Baker's soldering fluid. And I think I will keep this and use it. And I can always put smaller washers on to make use of the rest of it. So a couple of useful things, a little bit of scrap metal, and $100 worth of value for the shop. And that completes episode 54 of the Emergency Storage Shed Clean Out series. We're definitely going to get to triple figures. Quadruple figures, I don't think so, but you never know. We did make some really good headway with space in this episode, so we cleaned out more than just one tub. We got rid of a bit of stuff. We probably will do that in a few episodes now, forging ahead, because we don't have little boxes full of lots of little stuff. We've got bigger things. So we'll forge ahead. Hope you like to come with me on this journey. Hope you're enjoying it. We'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.